everyone, welcome back to Steven Watches Movies. I'm Steven and I love watching movies. Today I'm going to be talking about possible Best Picture winner Anora. Anora was an early favorite when it won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, and critics have been eating it up. It could be the eventual winner if everything breaks right for it. So let me get this out of the way now. I don't love Anora. I think it's a good film, I just don't think it's a great film, and so I'm having a hard time understanding why it's our possible Best Picture winner. But anyway, let's dive in. Directed by Sean Baker, Anora is the story of a young escort from Brooklyn who meets and impulsively marries the son of a Russian oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as his parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. Performances. So Mikey Madison plays Anora, or Annie as she prefers to be called, and Mikey Madison is good in this film. I think she's really good in this film. She ends up having to really carry most of this film, and she does a really great job at it. When I watched this before all the nominations started pouring in, I really didn't think that this was going to be a Best Actress nomination for her in Anora. Ultimately, she was nominated a lot, and I'm not mad that she was nominated, I just don't see the performance as others do. Yura Borisov is also really good in this. The performances overall are really good, but Yura Borisov is really good in this, although I do want to say I think his character is in a different film than every other character. Like, the way that he performs his character and the way that the other actors perform their characters, it feels like there's a little bit of a disconnect there. Like, he feels like he's in a much different film, possibly a better film in my opinion, but I won't go into that just yet. Every other character in this film, it feels like they spend about a third to two-thirds of this film just yelling and shouting their lines, and so it's refreshing that you have this character that Yura Borisov plays who's calm and collected and internal with a lot of his acting. So it does feel like it's separated from the rest of the film, but I do think he's a highlight of this film. Like Mikey, though, I don't believe that he should have been nominated for his performance. I would have rather have seen Clarence Macklin get in because I think it's a better performance overall. But I do want to say that Yura was actually one of my favorite parts of this film. I just want to say that I don't hate Mark Eidelstein, but man, I hated his character. So I guess he did a really good job too. Crafting the story. This film is written, directed, and edited by Sean Baker. Actually, he was also essentially the casting director as well, so he wears a lot of hats. I will say that the tech categories aren't really this film's strength, but they don't need to be. I feel like they serve the story well. For example, the cinematography and the score aren't anything to get too excited about, but they serve the story well. They do a good enough job, so I have no complaints there, but yeah, I think the tech categories really aren't the strong suit of this film. Continuing with that, the only tech category that Anora has been nominated for at the Oscars is editing. Now, I just think it's there because it got the Best Picture nomination, or maybe because Sean Baker was the editor on this film and people really like Sean Baker. I don't think the editing is a standout. In fact, the editing is one of the things that I didn't like about Anora. I think the film drags every so often, and I think it's a direct result from the editing and the screenplay. I think it's written in a way that Sean wanted some scenes to take their time, but I think ultimately when you get into the editing suite, you need to tighten it up. You need to let go of certain things that aren't working, and I just think some scenes just drag on way too long. Overall, I think the movie is about 15 minutes too long, and I think the first act is so long for what the film eventually ends up being. Like, I just thought it was going to go down one path by how much time we were taking with certain things in the first act, and I was fine with it. But then when it doesn't twist necessarily, but it just makes a little bit of a bend in the story and goes down a road that I wasn't necessarily expecting, which was fine. But then looking back, why did we spend so much time on certain things in the first act if they really didn't have an impact later on? Awards, nominations, and box office. So according to IMDb, at the time of this filming, Anora has won 131 awards and has been nominated for 272. Interestingly, though, Anora has been shut out of some key awards. So they were shut out completely for the Critics' Choice, Golden Globes, and SAG. But it's won at some very important awards such as DGA, PGA, and WGA. Oftentimes, if you win PGA, DGA, and WGA, you are going to go on to win Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Screenplay, and that very well could happen here. But it's interesting that they were shut out of other body awards as well, so we'll see. According to Box Office Mojo, this film has grossed over $40 million worldwide. Critical and audience reception. As of this filming, it has a 93% Rotten Tomatoes score. It also has an 89% popcorn meter. It's in line with the scores of Conclave, another Best Picture possibility, so makes sense. And on Letterboxd, it is currently sitting at a 4.0 out of 5, with the majority of ratings, 32%, giving it 4 stars. Now, for comparison, I gave this film a 3.5 rating. I feel like Anora was this year's past lives for me. I love certain aspects of it, but ultimately I just couldn't connect past a technical or filmmaking level with it. And I just can't understand why people are going nuts over it. Also, interestingly, I also gave Past Lives a 3.5 last year, so. Oscar chances. All right, so Anora is nominated for 6 Oscars. Let's start up with editing. I don't know why it's nominated for editing, but in terms of Oscar chances, it does have a shot, with The Conclave and The Brutalist as other possibilities. Again, I'm not a fan of the editing, so I don't understand it, but hey, that's fine. Original screenplay, this award will go to either Anora or A Real Pain. So if voters didn't connect with Anora, and let's say Conclave ends up winning Best Picture, then I could maybe see A Real Pain taking this. However, I could also see Anora winning here and not anywhere else either. So that's all to say that this film has a very good chance of winning this category. I think ultimately Anora is going to take Best Original Screenplay, but I don't know. A Real Pain is just there. It's always been there, and I think Jesse Eisenberg has been doing some really good work on the campaign, and he's likable, and that people seem to like him in the industry, but also people seem to really like Sean Baker too. So I don't know. Like, I think this is really a toss-up, but we'll find out. Supporting actor. So yeah, Yura's nomination is definitely a nice to be here type of nomination. Even though his performance was great, we all know this trophy is going to Kieran Culkin, so let's move on. Actress, Mikey Madison, Demi Moore, and Fernanda Torres. Those are the 3 that really have a shot at this year's award. It might go to Demi Moore, and even though it should go to Fernanda Torres, I'm very concrete on my opinion on that one. But Mikey does have a shot here. And I think she may have a bigger shot than some people believe, because I think a lot of people have moved over to Demi Moore, especially after winning SAG. I don't know. To me, I think all 3 have a shot. I think Fernanda Torres does have a shot at getting votes and maybe upsetting this category, but really the 3 of them have pretty equal chances. Director Sean Baker is the closest he's ever been to winning a Best Director award, and if they don't give it to Brady Corbet, it's definitely his. So I think this category specifically is, in my mind, 50-50. Best Picture, it's down to 3 films, really. Conclave, Anora, and The Brutalist. I don't think A Complete Unknown has a shot here. I think I've heard some people say that maybe that's the dark horse that could maybe get in there. I think if A Complete Unknown wins Best Picture, I think that would be a huge upset, honestly. So to me, I think it's Conclave, Anora, and The Brutalist. I see a lot of people are predicting Anora to win this category. I haven't decided what my prediction it will be yet, but Anora has a very, very good chance of taking this award home. So to recap, it's nominated for 6 awards, and it has a shot in all categories it's nominated for. In fact, I would even go so far as saying that it's either going to win or be in second place in all 5 categories. So, which for Anora, that's a great place to be in, because you're either the winner or you're the runner-up. You're not going to be discarded to the side. So I think Anora is going to do well on Oscar night. It's going to have a good night, I think. Personal reflections. So my main problem with Anora, I never once connected with Annie. She made some realistic decisions at the beginning, and obviously money talks, but getting married? After that short period of time together where it's been mainly like a sexual relationship with a dude that clearly doesn't truly care about you and looks like he's barely old enough to be in grade 10, she just ended up making some insane decisions that I just couldn't connect with at all. I was not rooting for her. In fact, it was the complete opposite. The entire time I was rooting against her. I wanted the marriage to fail. I wanted everything to crumble. And then so when chaos does end up ensuing in their relationship and in the film, I was like, yeah, you deserve it. You deserve it. You made dumb decisions that, I'm sorry, have consequences. Deal with it. So I just wasn't, obviously there are things that happen in the film where I'm like, okay, well that shouldn't, I'm not saying everything that happens to Annie, I'm rooting for her to happen. I'm just saying the actions have consequences, and the fact that she didn't think anything through or have real, I don't know, I also don't really see an arc for her character. The final 10 minutes were not great. I know everybody loves them, but I'm sorry. That one scene where Mikey Madison and Yura Borisov are sitting in the room and they're talking, that scene drags for so long. There is no need for that scene to be that long. Like, I can tell you right now, like, I didn't watch this at TIFF. I actually ended up getting a ticket at TIFF to see it, but then I couldn't make the schedule work. I watched this at a local theater, and I gotta say, when the film ended, everyone in the theater started to mutter to each other to be like, really, that's it, that's the film. So I don't think anyone at my screening actually ended up liking this film. I probably liked it more than any of them, and I only gave it a 3.5. So considering that and how critics have been going crazy for this film, I don't know, there's a big disconnect between me and how everybody else is viewing this film. It's quite possibly just me, and that's fine. But I just didn't see it the way that everybody else saw it. I try not to pick things out just for the sake of picking things out, but I just, everybody seemed to love it, and everyone seems to want it to win Best Picture, and I just don't see it. So I don't think I saw the same film that everybody else did. So again, it's a great movie. I just don't think it's that great, in my opinion anyway. Anyway, what did you think of Anora? Did you love it? And honestly, if you loved it, please, what did you love about it? What unlocked the film for you? Because I'm trying to understand it for myself. I really want to like it. Like, I don't ever go into a screening of a film wanting to not like a movie. I want to like every movie I see. And so I went in with an open mind and came out just confused. So if you love this film, please let me know what you loved about it, and hopefully I can get on board. So yeah, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.